Alright guys, welcome back to another one. Today we're going to show you how to install our new Linux Mercedes-Benz C-Class and GLC system. So today we're going to be installing it in a 2017 GLC-63 AMG, but the process is the same for all the C-Class and GLC models. So we'll show you everything you're going to be getting in the kit. So first is a user manual. So this is the cable connection guide. So you can follow along with this if you need help as well. Secondly is going to be the screen. So this customer opted for the 12.3 inch ultra thin system. So you can see it's very thin. It's an aluminium screen. And thirdly, this is the trim removal trim toolkit. So if you include this, you get a bag of these trim removal tools. This is important for removing the dashboard safely without scratching. Fourthly is the cabling, the harness. So this is the main power harness. We'll show you exactly how to route this. And lastly is the new frame. So this is the new bracket which will mount the screen to the car. So we'll show you also how to install this as well. So let me show you guys exactly what tools you need. Okay, so as per the tools that you need, we need a T20 bit. We have this on the impact driver. You can use this on a regular screwdriver instead. We also have a trim removal toolkit. This is also needed to remove pieces of the dashboard. A pick tool is also important, and also a T20 head, as well as a Phillips head for installing the new screen. We also use electrical tape sometimes as well, and we'll show you where to use electrical tape, but it's not 100% required. So we'll show you now how to get started and install the new system. Okay, so this is now the interior of the car. We're going to show you the first thing you need to remove. So it's this silver trim piece here. You don't really need a trim tool for this, but I can do it with our hand. You can press this button, grab from this side. Okay, keep the button pressed, grab from this side. Once it's up on both sides, you hold the button and you pull, and it should come out in one piece. That exposes two T20 screws, which we will now remove with our T20 bit. So we can put these to the side, and that exposes the complete console to be removed. So you grab from the bottom and you can pull. It comes out in this motion with two hooks at the top. So it comes out from the bottom first. With these models, it depends if you have a clock or if you have the exhaust button, but at the bottom there will be harness and plugs. We'll show you exactly which ones to remove. Okay, so we have the console removed now, and we'll show you exactly what plugs to remove. It's a bit difficult to show you where the console in the car, but I can show you now. So at the top, there's two plugs here. Sometimes there's a third, depending if you have a clock. If you have a clock, there's a third. This one is a little bit difficult to remove. Sometimes you can use a trim tool or a pick tool to get this one loose. This one's nice and easy. At the bottom, there's two plugs here, 1 and 2, okay? These need to be removed. And then thirdly, there's a 12-volt cigarette lighter connector as well. So this one is also removed. It can be removed pushing upwards. There's no plugs or anything like that to remove it. It's just a force in the opposite direction. Okay, and then now that exposes the console, and we can now remove this. So this is held in by two T20 screws. We can just loosen them. We don't need to remove them, just enough so these brackets can be released, and then we can pull out the head unit and we can put it on a microfiber towel here. That way it doesn't scratch up any of the dashboard or anything like that. Now that they're loose, we can give them a pull down, and once that's done, we can pull out the whole head unit, put it on the towel safely, and that's done for now. We can now work on getting the screen removed. We'll show you how to remove that now. So for the screen, we get our trim removal tool, and we can pry up on our speaker cover here. So there's about 9 clips holding this in, the 3 on each side. This one comes out nice and easily. Once that's removed, we can pick it up, move it to the side. It will expose 2 holes here. Down in these holes, there are 2 T20 screws holding the screen in. You need to get your T20 screwdriver. Try feel around for that screw. Once you're locked in, you can unscrew. You don't need to remove the screw completely, probably about maybe 5 to 6 turns, which will loosen up the screen. So it takes a little bit of time, but once it is removed, the screen will be loose and we can give it a pull. So once that's loose, we can pull out the screen, and that will expose 2 plugs. One is a blue power plug, the other is the LVDS plug, okay? And also these are the 2 screws you'll be removing. So keep them with you on the side for now. We're going to be reusing these two T20 screws and putting them in the new bracket. Okay, to remove the LVDS plug, we need to pry down on this little plug there. At the same time, once that's pressed in, we can lift up on the LVDS plug and that will release it. It's a little bit difficult, but with a little bit of time and patience, you'll get that plug out. We can now put this screen somewhere safe and we can work on getting the new wires routed to the screen. Okay, so now that the screen's removed, we can lift up on this tab, pull out the main power connector. That exposes the two orange fiber optic cables, which we need to remove. So we can use a pick tool or something sharp to pry up on this tab here. At the same time, pull and the fiber optic cable is released. And we can put that to the side for now. We're going to be reusing this connector and putting it in the new harness, okay? As well as this one, this will connect to our new harness as well. So we'll leave them to the side. For now, we're going to run the new cables and we'll connect up the cables at the bottom towards the end. Okay, so the first harness we're going to be connecting and running up will be the USB harness. So the white end comes up and through here, and the two USB cables we're going to put down coming out of here for now. So that way we can put software updates or we can use it as a charger in the future. So for now, we're going to show you how to run up the cable. So it's easier to start from the bottom, run the white connector up with one hand on the inside. Once you can feel and reach that cable, you can pull it out. We're going to be running it up through the AC vent, around and up through to the top. So it comes up through there. Next we can run it up again and we can feel up at the top for the cable to come at the top. And you can see that cable is now run to the top. Took literally less than 20 seconds. It's not difficult at all. We can leave the cables tucked into this net for now. And we also need to connect this blue LVDS cable to the black LVDS plug on our harness. So that's secured. The blue connector we can tuck down. We don't need that anymore. And now we can run the power cable, which is this one here. So this one we're going to run from the bottom, the white connector also up to the top. We're going to be running through the other side now to allow for more space. So first we'll do the connections at the bottom. We'll line up the pins and the plug. We'll ensure this is open. Then we can close it. Ensure that's tight. Then we can grab the fiber optic cable, put that into the new end of the harness, which is going into the head unit itself in the exact same position with the pin up. That's locked in. We'll now open up the harness. Line up on the head unit side itself. Press in and then we can close the tab. That will secure the connection. So that's all the power and all the cables done for the new system. For now we need to run the top of the cable. So we need to run this one up. So we'll run it towards the right hand side this time. Comes out through there. And that's all the cables run in less than 3 minutes. So now we're good to put the new system in. Obviously we'll show you how to connect the bracket first and how to put everything back together. So first, this is all secured. We can tuck the wires back down there. We have a little bit of room. We can ensure the tabs are open, which are here. We have to put them back into place, like so. That's only if these fall out. Normally these don't fall out, but sometimes they fall out if we leave the screw in, just like that. We can ensure they're open, not closed. If they are closed, they won't work. Move out any cables from the way. And we can press, and we'll tighten these two T20 screws back up. Okay, we can move the microfiber towel. We don't need that anymore. And we can now connect the new bracket as well as the new screen to the car. So now that the cables are run, we're going to get the new bracket. As you can see, there are 2 screw holes here. We need to get the 2 T20 screws from the original bracket. They're held into place, so we'll get a pick tool and pry them out. But we pretty much need to get these out, and we want to put them in the new harness, in the new bracket in the exact same position. We don't want to tighten them, we just want to put them in for now. That way we can tighten them when we put the bracket back in and tighten them up through the top like we've done before. Just like so. So they're not tight at all, they're just in place. Okay. Then we can run the cables up through the bracket. For the purpose of this video, we're not going to be taping up these wires, just to show you the process of installing the system. However, we do encourage you to tape up the wires that way to stop any rattling or anything like that. So we can just run the 2 cables, white connectors, both through this internal bracket here, not on the sides, just through the inside. So just like that. And then up through here, of course, with the LVDS USB cable on the left hand side, and the right hand side, the bigger bracket coming through the right hand side. So we can push that in, ensure that is flush. Okay, then we can get our T20 screwdriver again, put it through the top and tighten those 2 screws down. So in the kit we include these 2 brackets as well. These allows the screw to screw onto the bracket. So we'll just clip them on like so. Okay. This is already secured. We've done that off camera, so the 2 screws were done from the back. This is all secured into place. We then also open up these 2 tabs as well. That will allow us to screw in after we mount the bracket. So as you can see here, there's a mounting bracket here, 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 and here. So we need to just line it up on this after plugging them in, of course. Okay, tuck the wires into place. So it kind of goes up and then down. As you can see, that's flush on this side. Be sure to check the other side as well to ensure it is flush. And that's the new screen. So we have the 2 brackets open here. That allows us to put our new screen in. So we include these screws in the kit. Okay, so we give them, these are Phillips head. So ensure that you use a Phillips head bit on the screwdriver. So we can put the screw in, just like so. Okay, so the 2 screws are now secured in the back. We can close the tab and we can see how secure this screen really is. As you can see, very, very solid. It's not going anywhere, no rattles. As we can see here, it's flush here and it's flush here. So that's how you know it's secured properly. Okay, so now we're putting the console back in. It needs to be inserted with cables correctly first. Then it's hooked into the top, and then the bottom part is then secured down. So we'll show you how that works, so you can get an idea. Okay, once the cables are connected, we can first press force on the forward section, then the back, and then these 2 screws should line up perfectly, where we can put those 2 T20 screws back in, and that will secure the entire console. We can then get the bracket, ensure the button is pressed while you're inserting, and press back into place. Ensure both sides are connected. Then you can test out the console and ensure it's working. Okay, so now we've just powered on the ignition. We can see the system is booting up. We are going to be updating this logo. All the buttons are working, which is good. As you can see, it is working. Let's see if the original Mercedes interface is working. It is, but it is chopped off here, so I'll show you how to fix that. We'll go to the setup. We'll go to car settings. We'll go to original screen resolution, and we'll choose the second option here, 960 by 540. We'll go home, go back to car info, and we can see now it's displaying correctly. So this interface still works as per normal. Okay, we can tap the screen to go to the new interface. This one also works with the scroll wheel. It's also touchscreen, and we can show you how to connect our phone, and that's pretty much it. So we'll show you a couple settings as well. Okay, another plus about this system, and we'll show you how to set it up in the settings, is that it uses the original Bluetooth and no auxiliary cable. So we go to setup, we go to system. If your car's right-hand drive, so steering wheel on the right, we turn on this one, and we turn on use car's BT channel. So we turn that on as well. Okay, that will allow us to use the car's original Bluetooth for audio. We can also go down to car settings, go to reversing settings, and we can scroll down and we'll turn on OEM parking sensor button. So that will allow us for the parking sensor button to be turned on. Reverse camera all still works. That's all set from factory with original camera. If you have an aftermarket camera, we can select here and we can choose aftermarket camera. If you don't have a camera, you can press not installed, but obviously this car has a 360-degree camera, so we'll press original camera. That's it for the setting. So now our system will use the car's original Bluetooth. So how that works is we go to the original car info, we go to media, so we press media here, and we go to Bluetooth and ensure it's on Bluetooth audio. We connect your phone as per normal to this Bluetooth here, which is MB Bluetooth. Once that's connected and it's playing, we can tap the screen. We can then go to CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on which one you have. We can connect our phone to that, and the sound will play through the original Bluetooth for all phone calls, all media, music, maps, navigation, everything will work through the original Bluetooth, as well as the original microphone as well. So that's our system. We'll show you how CarPlay looks as well. So we'll press CarPlay here and we'll get our phone connected. Okay, so we've just connected this phone that we're recording on through wireless CarPlay. So I didn't show you the connection process, but it is very simple. As you can see, it's touchscreen, it's very smooth. The scroll wheel works as well. If we press car home, that takes us to the original, the new interface. And if we press OEM car info, that also takes us to the original interface. So we're gonna press the screen to go back, press CarPlay, and we can enjoy our CarPlay here. We can play our music, our maps and everything. As long as your phone is connected to the original Mercedes Bluetooth, the music will work. If your phone isn't connected to the original Mercedes Bluetooth, the audio won't work. So ensure that option that we've done before is selected and ensure your phone is connected to the original Bluetooth. So that's pretty much everything. The system is great. We have Android Auto. We also have AutoLink, AirPlay. We have USB, so we can put in USB stick into the two USB cables that we ran. We also have a couple other settings we can play around with as well. So the display, we have the brightness at nighttime and during the day. So the system knows if it's too bright at nighttime, then it will automatically adjust. So that's pretty much everything. So if you have any questions, you can comment. But this is our new Linux system, 12.3-inch ultra thin. It looks great in the car. It works very smoothly. There's no lag, no delay whatsoever. It connects automatically. So enjoy. And guys, another thing to note as well is we want to fix up the boot logo. So we've got a USB drive here. This is just a regular USB drive. We put it on a computer and we upload our logo to it. So whatever logo we want to come up on the screen, we simply put it in the USB cable of the new unit, plug it in, wait for the system to recognize that, and you'll see it just takes a couple seconds. It says here, update boot logo success. Please reboot the system. We can now go to setup, go to system, we'll reboot, and we can see what the new logo looks like. As you can see, so now it says the AMG logo. It looks a lot better, in my opinion. So we can now unplug the USB drive from the USB cable. And with the two USB cables that we had hanging in here, instead of leaving them there, we like to just tuck them up. Somewhere a little bit accessible, but not visible. That way, if we ever need it, do a software update, we can reach in and grab it ourselves. So that's pretty much it. The system is now configured. And if you have any questions, you can just reach out to us